It was one of those still Sunday evenings, the kind where the weight of the week presses down, and the lies we tell ourselves begin to unravel. One sentence, thoughtlessly spoken, unraveled the life I'd built with a man I once believed was my forever. Hurting him was never my intention. In truth, I didn't even know he was close enough to hear. But those careless words, born from weariness, tore down everything we had spent years creating. My dearest friend, Sarah, had stopped by for a casual visit. Just a glass of wine, a bit of company. We were curled up in the warmth of our living room, the hush of evening thick around us. Nathan, my husband, was supposed to be upstairs, occupied with something in the storage room, or so I assumed. As the evening unfolded, I found myself speaking more than listening, pouring out the frustration I bottled up for far too long. The wine loosened my tongue, and the wear of recent months, the bitter arguments, the tense silences, the exhausting emotional fog, came spilling out like a flood. "I don't know, Sarah," I whispered, pressing my fingertips to my aching forehead. "Some days, I just wish I never married him." The second those words escaped, a cold dread clenched in my stomach. It felt like I'd summoned a ghost I couldn't banish. Sarah's eyes snapped toward me, startled. "You don't mean that," she said quickly. But I wasn't so sure. A part of me had meant it, not out of hate, but from the kind of deep fatigue that love sometimes decays into, when connection turns to duty, and duty quietly spoils into resentment. Still, another part of me clung to the belief that I loved him, or at least that I once had. What I didn't know, couldn't know, was that Nathan had been standing motionless on the staircase the entire time, listening, taking in every word. The next morning, something in the house felt off. The coffee machine was untouched. His keys were missing from the hook. His boots, usually placed neatly by the door, were gone. I figured he'd simply left early for work, but the silence gnawed at me. Nathan never left without a goodbye kiss, not even after our worst fights. By noon, unease had turned into full-blown worry. I called. No answer. I texted. No reply. I opened my laptop, ready to email him at work, only to find one lone message waiting in my inbox. The subject line read only, "Farewell." His words were stark. "I heard what you said last night. I know you didn't think I would, but I did. You didn't speak out of anger. You spoke from truth. And that truth broke me. I gave everything I had to us. But knowing that all this time you've been living with regret, that's not something I can UN here. Please don't come looking for me. The divorce has already been filed. I'm not angry. I just refuse to be someone's mistake." Nathan. I couldn't breathe. I read it again and again, the words landing like blows. No fury. No begging. No accusations. Just a quiet, irrevocable end. I rushed to his workplace in disbelief, only to find his desk empty. He'd handed in his resignation that morning. His phone line was disconnected by the afternoon. His social media wiped clean. Our mutual friends were in the dark. His brother simply said Nathan needed time and didn't want contact. It was as if he had vanished. Days later, the divorce documents arrived, neatly typed, his signature already there. All I had to do was fill in my details. No discussion, no second chance, just paperwork. I had become an item to check off a list. I thought I'd be furious. I thought denial would take hold. But all I felt was an unbearable guilt, the kind that clings to your ribs and makes breathing hurt. The memories came flooding back. His eyes in those early years, when they lit up just seeing me. His quiet strength when I fell apart. His grace when I needed solitude. And then I remembered the look he gave me at dinner a few nights before it all crumbled, tired, distant, but still trying. Still there. It was me who had faded. For weeks, sleep abandoned me. I relived that moment with Sarah over and over, trying to understand why I said it, whether it was real or just a moment of weakness. Maybe I had let my doubts grow in the dark instead of sharing them with the one person who deserved my honesty. Eventually, I hired a private investigator. But Nathan had left no trail, no new address, no activity on his accounts. Nothing. He had vanished so completely, it was as if he'd never existed. And perhaps, in his own way, that was his final act of self-respect, because those words, unfiltered and unintended, weren't just painful to him. They were his awakening, his proof that I had allowed my love for him to wither in silence. And so he left, not out of vengeance, but to protect what dignity he had left. Now, I wonder where he is, if he's found someone who sees him as the best decision of their life every single morning. Because I know now, with piercing clarity, he was mine, but I realized it too late. Nathan left to reclaim his peace, and all I'm left with is the echo of words I can never take back.